Then I went back that night under cover of darkness, and I saw 3 different craft come above the Groom Lake ridge,
By that, do you mean
line.
spacecraft?
Anti-gravity craft. And just hover there and shimmer and do aerobatics.
But Dr. Boylan, how did you know that this craft was, in fact, a spacecraft and not something that the government has been able to manufacture that we don't know about?
Well, its performance characteristics are not conventional aircraft. It's not propeller, helicopter, jet. Silent, goes straight up, uses anti-gravity field propulsion.
Are you actually saying that this was an alien craft?
No, the technology came from extraterrestrial craft that had crashed, and then the human engineers went in and tore it apart and figured out enough of how it worked to make one of their own. The anti-gravity craft tests at Area 51, that's why I went over there. I saw them for myself, tearing apart one of these anti-gravity discs and trying to figure out how they work. That's exactly what they do there.